Welcome to NightMerica, a podcast that takes you on a tour of the abnormal, paranormal, weirdly true, and truly weird in every corner across this nation. Because, to paraphrase Ray Parker Jr., whether it's ghosts, aliens, monsters, or monstrous humans, there's something strange in your neighborhoods. And I'm Aaron Sagers. I'm one of your hosts, and I am a paranormal journalist, paranormal pop culture expert, from Paranormal Caught on Camera, Paranormal Paparazzi, Portals to Hell, Paranormal Lockdown, lots of paranormals.
I'm really glad that I got the P guard, like the sound guard.
That's a different thing entirely. A P guard is...
We need to re-record this.
I don't think so. I think we're going to keep going. And I'm joined by...
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
I'm Britt. I am not as experienced as my co-host.
So the concept with this, maybe we don't need to keep saying this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. Because, I don't know, you guys might be listening to this for the first time. This will be your first episode. Look, I work in the paranormal world. I work as a journalist. I work in entertainment, all that good stuff. I talk a lot about the paranormal. And I love it. But it's also a field dominated by older dudes.
Yep.
Older white dudes. And Britt, you're not an older white dude.
I am not an older white dude, in case you can't tell by my voice, that I am as we have covered on this podcast before in this groundbreaking journalism, 30, flirty, and thriving.
Are we already repeating jokes from the first episode?
I think so. It's like a callback.
Oh, okay. Is it? All right. As long as it's a callback and not repetitive. That's okay. So we're kind of recording this as our self-isolation, social distancing podcast, as a, something to do to occupy the time. But look, we'll keep doing it if you keep listening. Whoever you are out there.
Thanks, Mom.
What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about...
Today we're going to talk about somewhere you cannot go during this isolation, theme parks.
Right. So... what was your... Well, okay. Did you go to theme parks or carnivals as a kid more?
We would go to both. So I was very lucky to grow up in Paris. And in Europe, carnivals are a very big thing. They're kind of creepy. In Europe, there's like no laws. So people have, free reign. But because we were American...
What's that mean?
Like, they would like...
safety-wise? Or
yeah, safety-wise... Children would be working there. Animals were there.
Also working?
Probably drugged. They're not. They're not good carnivals. It feels icky to talk about.
Yeah, no, but I think there's a lot of that in the U.S. as well. I remember when I was younger. I remember we went on this one road trip as a family to North Carolina. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, so more than fly. In fact, I didn't actually get on a plane until I was 18 years old.
Wow, I got a plane like 18 months old.
Well, I didn't. So our youngest of 5, like, we would drive places for like family trips, and we went to like this place in North Carolina that was like a bear
cave,
canyon cave or something. And it was just a lot of sad-looking bears, and it made me very sad.
That's what the carnivals are like in Europe. It's very sad. So I don't like talking about them.
Yeah.
Today, however, we're going to be talking about theme parks, and...
I wasn't done with my carnival stuff.
Oh, sorry.
I went to state.
You took a sip of your cocktail.
Yes. So what are you drinking today?
I am drinking the grog recipe that you gave me before the lockdown hit. It's like a take on a Navy grog.
I've been posting cocktails on my Instagram account, and you very subtly use that recipe. I appreciate that.
I did. Delicious. I love a tiki cocktail. So I'm very lucky that I have a good friend that makes tiki recipes for me.
That's me.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
No, carnivals.
But
the thing I remember about carnivals, and this is perhaps the thing that I find most traumatizing for me, is I've got a very fond memory out of a carnival and a very traumatic memory. The fond memory is I remember going to like a state fair, state carnival or whatever as a kid, and I met Spider-Man. And it was this thing where you could get a Polaroid picture with Spider-Man.
How old were you?
Very young. I don't know.
So it was truly magical.
Well, I mean, even now, meeting Spider-Man is a big deal. But I met Spider-Man, and as a little kid, huge Spider-Man fan, which I still am, I said to Spider-Man as I was about to take the Polaroid picture, I'm like, don't worry, Spider-Man. I won't tell anyone you're really Peter Parker. And he's like...
my heart breaks for baby Aaron.
He's like, thanks, kid. Thanks for keeping my secret. All right, now let's see your best web shooter pose. And then we did the web shooting pose. And then years later, when Islands of Adventure opened in Orlando, Florida, and I went there, they had a guy dressed as Spider-Man. It was like the first time I had, like, since that time, met a guy dressed, like on the theme park dressed as Spider-Man. And it was still magical. So that is my heartwarming story.
That's so heartwarming.
The traumatic story is just I remember I got my face painted as a clown, and it terrified me. Like, I saw my face in a mirror or in a reflection, and I was like, nope. Do not. I scared myself. And just the fact that, like, how yellow my teeth looked with the white clown
with the white
makeup
against it, totally.
It, like, I don't have a clown phobia, but I have a phobia of me as a clown. And that was not something that I... Do you have anything like
so
that?
Like I said, the French carnivals were so creepy. So I don't have great memories of those. But I have amazing memories of Disney as a kid. Growing up in Paris, all the Americans at my dad's company would spend Thanksgiving at Euro Disney. So, like, for me, Thanksgiving means Disney, and it's just pure magic.
Did you go to the Phantom Manor a lot? I've never been to
Yes.
Euro Disney, but I desperately want to go to the Phantom Manor.
So, in my opinion, and this is a hot take, is that I think Euro Disney is better than any American Disney, whatever. It could be because I went when I was so little.
Right,
that,
so
like,
that magic is, like,
so that
really
magic
locked
is
in.
real for me. But, like, I felt like Thunder Mountain was scarier, and, like, the Haunted Mansion was scarier over there, like...
Phantom Manor.
Oh,
En français.
En français, le Manor Fantôme.
Wow.
Is that what it would be?
I mean, I guess, if that's Phantom
Yeah.
Manor. I don't speak French. But this is NightMerica.
So I only have fond memories of Disney.
Yeah. Well, I mean, growing up in Orlando, I didn't go there as much as people might expect. I've been to Disney a lot more
As an adult
than I did as a kid.
Because you do it for work.
For work, and then also, like, a big family, it was expensive.
Yeah.
So we would go on special occasions. I remember we would go to EPCOT, and EPCOT as a kid, at least when I was a kid,
boring.
Sucked.
Yeah, it's boring.
And it's gotten better now.
As an adult, it's
no, I mean,
dope.
even for kids now,
Okay.
they've got, like, a Frozen ride.
Got
They've
it.
got a lot of cool stuff going on now. But as an adult, it's especially
great.
cool because you can drink. There's a food and wine festival.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
I am an unapologetic Disney nerd. I love Disney. I love all things connected with Disneyana, like
Disney Anna?
Yeah, it's like just like the Disney,
like Indiana?
No, that's just like Indiana.
Okay.
But like Disneyana, as far as like the culture surrounding.
Oh, is that a word?
Culture and myth surrounding
Okay.
Disney. What is now?
Cool.
So you actually have a story.
I do, talking about
Connected.
EPCOT.
Yes.
So...
The topic is theme park.
The topic is theme park, and my story today is about EPCOT. I got most of my information from the Orlando Sentinel, an article done by Jim Lesner, and then also an AP News article, because you know all about them facts on this podcast. So my story begins in Florida at the end of July in 1992. Barbara Krause is a 33-year-old woman. She's a security guard at EPCOT.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided that it's time to break up with her boyfriend, Alan Ferris, who is 37 years old. Apparently, they'd been fighting a lot, and a neighbor told the Orlando Sentinel that they were having financial problems. So men with financial problems. We already covered Harold Perelson. Am I right? You know what I mean? Men with financial problems, you got to give them the goodbye. So they had been together for 8 years. And Alan apparently took this breakup super hard. He actually attempted suicide by splitting his wrists, like, right after. And then he was given, like, a court order to no longer be in contact with Barbara. So he moved back to Rochester, New York to be with his family out of Florida. So now he's in Rochester, and he's still not doing very well. He lies to his brother and says he has to go to a wedding in Florida over the weekend. But it's actually not true. So September of 1992, he went back and confronted some guards at EPCOT demanding to see Barbara. So he's going back. They told him no, and he pulled out a 12-gauge shotgun with the stock cut off. So I don't know guns. I grew up in, like, a hippie family. A 12 gauge.
I do know guns.
You know guns because you're from Florida.
Yes.
A shotgun with its stock
Barrel,
cut off is basically like when you think of, like, an old, not even an old Western. Like, you think of Civil War footage and they have those giant guns. It's like the most of the gun is cut off and it's just the smaller parts.
Yeah, it's a saw. Look, I mean, anyone that's seen any 80s movie ever, there's always a sawed-off shotgun.
Okay.
It's like a thing.
It's like an American thing. Okay.
Well, it's an action movie thing. But
Well, these guns are illegal,
yes.
apparently. So he pulls out this 12-gauge shotgun with the stock cut off and fires 3 shots. So one of the guards goes running. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to get involved with this. And the other 2 guards of the Epcot gate are taken in and held hostage by Alan in the bathroom. Fun fact, the bathroom was by the Journey to Imagination Pavilion, which I'm not super familiar with, but apparently it's owned by Kodak. And Kodak's home office is in Rochester, New York. So I think it's incredibly unrelated as a coincidence, but I found it interesting.
Because he's
from Rochester, New York.
Right.
So, of course, it's Disney, so the deputies are on the scene immediately. They're not taking any chances. The park is closed at this point, so it's not like there's people walking about that are in danger. It's just these guards and
what time of night
Alan.
is this?
It's at 10:30 at night.
Okay.
So the park is closed. We don't need to worry about people being in danger. He is holding these 2 guards hostage in the bathroom by the Journey into Imagination. And the deputies immediately get there and they're surrounding the bathroom. After about like 10-15 minutes, Alan releases the hostages and then comes out of the bathroom with a gun to his chest saying, shoot me, you're gonna have to kill me. Which, like, that's really sad to me. Like, this guy's just gone through a hard breakup and now he's like, you have to kill me. Well, the police don't shoot, and he ends up bringing the gun to his head and killing himself. But he doesn't die immediately. The deputies immediately rush to him and administer first aid, but Alan is fighting them off.
Like, he just wants to die.
He just wants to die, which is so sad. And of all the articles that I've looked through, it's not even obvious that Barbara was even on site at the time. Which is like a sad story of mental illness. But it's the only, well, it was the first, it's not the only, it's the first suicide to have happened at Disney. Which is why I covered it today. I do also want to add, if you or someone you know might be contemplating suicide, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. So.
That's good.
That's my story.
Yeah. I mean, clearly this person was...
It's sad.
It is sad. However...
But a lot of suicides have happened at Disney, which is crazy.
It's sad, but it's also someone that's willing to do violence to others.
Exactly.
I think I take mental health very seriously.
We both do.
And I certainly encourage people that are feeling suicidal or depressive, like that they need someone to talk to. Yes, reach out. But like when you take it to that level of doing violence to others, that's when, it's hard for me to continue to have sympathy for your situation.
Like, let's all go see a therapist.
Oh, I definitely think that. So as far as EPCOT goes, do you know what it stands for?
I don't know what it stands for.
I'll tell you. It's the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. And the idea was Walt never lived to see EPCOT come to fruition. In fact, I believe he died even before Magic Kingdom opened.
I think he did.
But, his plan, though, was to have a community that was actually like a true living, breathing, thriving community where people would live in EPCOT.
Cool.
And that's not quite what it turned out to be,
but there are subdivisions like that, aren't they? Like, they're in Florida, they own a subdivision.
Yeah, so it used to be Celebration.
Yes.
And it's not quite that. And there's some interesting stories coming out of Celebration
Feels
too.
Very Stepford Wives, in my opinion.
But so Celebration is not quite what Walt envisioned, but what did have like this sort of I would say like the idea of it was certainly very kind of Stepford Wivey.
Well, what to me is...
I know a lot of people that have lived in it, and that's not really what it is anymore.
But to me, what's so amazing about Walt Disney, and it's the ingenious of him, is that he knew the control and the production of everything made a difference on the customer experience.
Sure, and I think that's why, having been to a lot of theme parks around the country, and I'm certainly partial since I grew up in Orlando. However,
well, how can you not love Disney?
The full like fantasy and magic is there's so much dedication to it that it feels fully realized. It's not like you're just like, hey kid, get on a ride. Like, is a roller coaster, like, or manned by like some,
we'll do Carnies as a separate episode.
It's
have you ever been a Carnie?
No, I could tell you a Carney story though.
Do we want to save that for the Carney episode?
I mean, we're kind of
Let's tell the story.
It's not my story,
okay.
But it's worth telling. My best friend, I don't want to...
Me?
My other best friend, we were working at a summer camp in Ohio. This was a long time ago. And we were walking in there, and we were working in the summer camp, but we were walking in this downtown area, and there was a carnival that had popped up in this town. And my friend was wearing the name of his college, of his university. And we're walking by, and there's some carnival barkers like, hey, we'll guess your weight. And like, hey, we'll do, like, I don't know why they all talk like this.
They're from Jersey.
They all sound like the same. I have a lot of respect for anyone that, who works, including anyone that works at a carnival. But,
or people from Jersey.
This guy was like following us after we were like, he was a barker asking us to like do weight, guess our weights or whatever, or throw a ball but he starts following us. He's like, hey, come here. And we just thought he was like chasing us to like try to sell us something. He's like, no. You went to so-and-so university? And my friend is like, yeah, I went to school there. He's like, I graduated from there. And I'm like, you went to Carney School. It's no disrespect to anyone. It was just funny in the moment.
That is funny. That's super funny. Like, this is what your life is going to be.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, I think there's an allure to the Carney life. But that said, I mean, like, I have so many stories about Disney and about theme parks. I'm not going to go...
Listen, it's coming from a man who is Mickey Mouse on his Apple Watch right now.
Well, that is true, actually. No, I love Disney. But there's... The ones that I'll run down real quickly is, like, So the Haunted Mansion ride, supposedly people dump ashes.
They do.
On the Haunted Mansion ride. Which, hey, guess what, people? If you try to do that, it's like basically asking for your Aunt Sally's ashes to get vacuumed and tossed out at the end of the night,
Let's
at the end of each shift. Those ashes don't stay there. They have cameras everywhere. They know that you're doing that. There's the story of the Pirates of the Caribbean ghosts. I believe it's George. I didn't look this up, but it is George. A lot of different stories about where he came from, who he is, but if he is not told good morning over the PA each day, the ride is said to break down throughout the day. Should also say it's an older ride, so it might just be more prone to breaking down. But
old people generally are.
Say hello and good morning, and also and if you don't say good night, supposedly the ride will turn on overnight. I've also, Pirates of the Caribbean, this is less well known, but I've heard stories of a ghostly woman spotted overhead on the ride before the drop. And it looks like someone is observing from a booth overhead, but there shouldn't be anyone there. There's, let's see, Contemporary Resort at Disney. Did you hear this one?
I might have.
It's where Richard Nixon gave his "I am not a crook" speech on November 17th, 1973. But it's also said that the ballroom of the hotel, which at one point was the largest ballroom in the country, is supposedly haunted. Sounds of footsteps, sounds of music, tech malfunctions take place there. Port Orleans Resort. A lot of people have told me in various rooms there's feelings of being watched, of hearing things at night. Some people say they feel a presence in the room. It is one of their older hotels.
Port Orleans?
Port Orleans.
Where is that on like the Disney compound? Do you know?
Sorry, that's the sound of my ice in my cocktail, which I know you love that sound. I think it's connected to not EPCOT, but I think you take the little river over to EPCOT. But I don't know. It's on the Magic Kingdom property. And then supposedly Hollywood Tower of Terrors also has a story of a platform ghost, a ghost on platform D, I believe. Cast members have to test the ride and can do so solo. But when they do that, the ghosts people supposedly see things when they're testing the ride on their own. And there was supposedly a photo of a ghost on there that was circulated for a while. But all of that said, there's a lot of different stories of Disney ghosts. A lot of cool stories at Disney itself. And I love it a lot. However, I want to tell you a story
I'm
about
excited.
Universal Orlando.
I'm going to cuddle in for this.
And
onto this dining room chair.
It's not even my story. I'm actually going to let my friend Win tell this story.
From Arcade Fire?
No.
Oh.
No, Winfield Boggs. And well, let me tell the story, and then I'll give you a little bit of background about Win himself.
What's up, man? So before I start my story, I just want to let you know that, I somewhat believe in ghosts. I like doing the adventure. I like trying to find the proof. But the story I'm about to tell you kind of got me really thinking because, one, it freaked me the hell out. It really did. So, smoking a Christoph, sitting by the pool, here you go. We're at Universal Studios. A bunch of us are getting ready to get on the Hogwarts Express. I can't remember the cabin that we actually got into, but was it cabin 1?
Very first one.
The very first cabin, right? So we're all the way at the front. I'm sitting right by the door, facing forward. My friend Chris is sitting across from me, facing towards the back of the train. Train starts going on, and we go through I think it was the first tunnel we hit in the video, and off the side of my head, a shadow just cruises past it and goes right by my friend Chris's head, like whoop, and then you hear a thud. And Chris and I are looking at each other like, tell me you just saw that. Tell me you just saw something go right by us. And there's nothing in the car, there's nothing in the program, there's nothing in the ride that does that. It literally, and we went by it, and we thought we were the only ones that saw it. And then the other day, we're talking with some friends of ours, and they're like, no, we saw that go by you guys. And my wife Karen's like, yeah, I saw that too. We couldn't explain it. And both of us are like, we got the chills when it happened, like every hair on my whole back just stood straight up. And I'm like, all right, I want off this. I want off now. And I don't know that. The only thing I can say it was a ghost because it came out from the wall, like right here, right by his head into the wall, and then you hear a thud. And yeah, I don't sit in the front car anymore. Sit in the back.
So, have you been on the Hogwarts Express?
No, I have not.
Orlando? Okay. You're a Harry Potter fan, though, right?
I mean, like, I've seen the movies.
Okay. What house are you?
People have told me I'm Gryffindor. I don't know. I've never done a test.
Okay. That's what someone says, like, I don't know, people tell me I'm an overachiever. But
I'm not a Slytherin.
I'm a Slytherin.
I believe you're a Slytherin.
You don't even know the difference.
I mean, like, I've seen the movies.
Okay.
I don't think I'm a
You didn't read the books?
Slytherin. My parents tried.
They tried to read the books?
We tried to read the books together.
Oh, together.
It's tough. I don't think I'm a Ravenclaw or a Hufflepuff because I was not good at school. And I feel like both of those groups are super smart. And I was really bad in school.
Well,
So
I'm definitely a Slytherin.
If anything, I would be a Slytherin or a Gryffindor. I don't know.
Well, okay. All that aside, so let me tell you about Win, my friend Win. Big guy, and a Marine, and a very sober type of guy. As far as like the guy that he's someone that like if like things got serious in any situation, he would be on top of it. I trust him implicitly. We also have been cigar buddies. But he's not someone that I've ever known to BS or tell a tale or exaggerate
or be super
things.
ghosty, I'd bet.
And definitely not super ghosty, which he says himself. Like, he's not even... So, but then with this story, him explaining something that had multiple people noticing it and creating some sort of interaction with physical space, like thumping against the wall, is interesting to me.
Yeah.
But again, like, he knows what I do. He knows I talk about the paranormal. He's never really brought up the paranormal before this moment in this story. So that to me is interesting. I'm always the most fascinated by people that are not interested in the paranormal, that tell a story about something they cannot explain.
Like, what was the thud? That was my question. Yeah. Like, was there a wall or was there something there before?
Well, and I also told him, I was talking to him about it. Oh, and, again, like, so he had multiple people noticing it. But I asked him, I'm like, so what about people that would just say, like, there's a lot of lights going on. It's not a ride, but it's an attraction.
Oh, okay, so you just walk through it?
No, it's meant to simulate a train ride from London to Hogwarts. And if you take it the other way, it's from Hogwarts to London.
Okay.
So you are in a train car, and it is a train, and you see sort of scenery going by in the background.
That's pretty. That sounds very nice.
Oh, it's very cool. It's very cool.
I want to go.
But it's a fairly short train ride. But so there's some lighting effects and things like that. And that's what I asked him. I'm like, are you sure it wasn't a lighting thing? And he's like, look, I've done this thing a million times. I know that ride in and out. I'm a pass holder. I'm not... there's
he's not an amateur.
Nothing that can surprise me about that. So when that happened, it was definitely out of the ordinary. I don't know. I just found that interesting.
Super interesting.
I mean, the thing worth also adding here, since we're talking about theme parks, is you have millions, literally millions of people that go through these things every day. A lot of energy, a lot of history, history on the grounds. So, it's certainly not a place that would surprise me to find out that there were some ghost stories and odd paranormal stories taking place.
Absolutely.
There.
Interesting.
It is interesting. And then you, I don't know if you're ready to talk about this, but you also did the Discovery Cove or Discovery Island.
I did. I looked into Discovery Island, which is really interesting to me. So I don't have a ton of experience with Disney World. I went once in high school. I was the president of my high school's DECA group, which is Distributive Educational Clubs of America.
Holy shit.
It's the marketing group. It's business club. So we made it to nationals.
All the way.
We made it. So we went to Disney in high school.
You're definitely a Gryffindor.
Oh, okay. Sure. And
you're like, I have no idea.
I don't know what that means. So we went. I was competing in fashion and business marketing. Shock. But when we went, I was rooming with these two girls who I was not friends with, who were horribly annoying. And
do you want to call out their names?
I don't want to call out their names. But they and one of the guys from the group broke into the hotel at Disney's shop, and they stole a bunch of booze from the gift shop. Cool. They have all been banned from Disney for life.
Really? Were you?
No. I was not involved. I have to confess, I actually told the teacher that they did this, and then they got banned because of me.
Well, I don't... Yeah, no, I don't... I do not advocate stealing, but I also don't advocate being a snitch.
I was a real goody two-shoes in high school. I was the president of marketing club, okay? I was not cool by any means. But so they were banned for Disney for life. So I was really curious who else was banned from Disney for life. And I stumbled upon this blogger named Shane Perez who broke into Disney's Discovery Island in 2009. So he swam from, I guess it was the Contemporary Resort, which we talked about, to Discovery Island, which is about 300 feet. And he put all his supplies in these waterproof bags and swam over. And what he had to say was just that it was very creepy. That Discovery Island had been built in 1974. It was like a Treasure Island themed park in the middle of what's called Bay Lake, which is near Magic Kingdom. It's like that big body of water you cross to get to Magic Kingdom. And in 1978, it was actually an accredited zoo and aquarium and was breeding rare birds, which is very cool. But in 1999, it was closed due to this brain-eating amoeba found in the fresh water, which is scary. So from 1999 until 2009, no one was there. And so this blogger snuck in, swam the 300 feet, which seems like a lot to me as someone who can't swim. And the first thing he noticed when he got there was that all the lights on the dock were on, no matter what. They were all on, which feels very eerie. And though they say all of the birds and animals were moved to Animal Kingdom when Discovery Island was closed, it had all these birds on it. So no matter where they were on the island, it sounded like they were surrounded by birds, which is so eerie in the middle of the night. It kind of almost felt like some of the birds were talking to them. They
also known as chirping, but okay.
True. But your ringtone is in the Tiki Tiki room, your alarm clock. So that's birds singing words. All the birds sing the words and what is it? Owls coo?
No, it's all
the birds sing the words and the
flowers
bloom in
No.
the tiki
no,
room.
the flowers croon.
That feels wrong.
That's literally the lyric.
Well, anyway, so the birds are all talking to them. They stumble upon these really creepy cages, which is most likely where animals were kept, like when they were visiting the on-site
I
veterinarian.
just want to interrupt you for a
Okay.
moment, because yes, all the birds sing words and the flowers croon.
What's like crooning like Frank Sinatra?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So Shane stumbled upon these super creepy cages that were most likely where animals were held during like veterinary visits. So like not creepy, but in the dark of night, it feels very eerie. And what's so odd, and we will put pictures of this on our Instagram, and they're also on Shane Perez's blog, is that he found snakes in weird bottles throughout like the island. So there was a snake in like a plastic Diet Coke bottle preserved in some weird liquid.
Mm-hmm.
But in a plastic Diet Coke bottle, which just feels so creepy.
I mean, I know this story, and I know I've seen images from the abandoned Discovery Island. I don't know about the snakes, but I don't know. I guess maybe that's odd. It's odd if you see it.
Yes.
There are a lot of cool abandoned theme parks or amusement parks out there. Japan has some that you can see online, which I think are really wild. And then even like I've been in some areas of the country where it's like off season or whatever, and you go into these mini golf putt-putt golf areas where they have these giant statues and whatnot, and it's just all very creepy and has an abandoned vibe to it.
I mean, putt-putt golf is kind of creepy.
Is it?
It's, to me it is. Everything's so small. Why is it so small?
Well, so one of the ones I'm thinking of is it was a couple of years ago. I believe it was, what is the name of the town? It's upstate New York, I believe, in the Adirondacks. And I went to an area that had been a resort area, but it was off season. So there was just these putt-putt golf things. There was like not a monolith park, but a park where they had a bunch of like old Paul Bunyan type of statues and whatnot, and it just felt like something locked in time and kind of eerie and creepy. And
That's cool though.
it
Let's
really
go.
was.
Let's take a road trip.
It was cool, but
We can film some Patreon content up there.
we could do that. We could do that once the self-isolation time has passed.
Lifts. Yep.
So that said, all right. Well, that is a cool. Do you have any other just random Disney facts that you just have? Like,
I have
this is a theme park episode, but it's very Disney heavy.
I have a funny Disney story.
Okay.
So in April 2017, a 41-year-old woman allegedly attacked a female high school student at Disneyland. They were watching the fireworks, and KTLA 5 reported that the student was standing to see the fireworks, and the 41-year-old woman was behind her and asked her to sit down, but the student wouldn't. She wanted to watch the fireworks standing, and the 41-year-old woman threatened her, and so the friends started to leave. They were creeped out by this woman, and this woman attacked the student, grabbing her around the throat and threatened her. This girl did not sustain any injuries, but she did press charges, and the woman was arrested.
So there's nothing about that surprises me. Because
Well, no, it's just people get crazy at
people
Disney.
become monsters.
Yeah.
Not just Disney, but anywhere where they feel that they have some sense of entitlement
Yes.
over, I've spent my hard-earned money to be here, and I can do whatever whatever I want. And, you know, I've seen people just go insane at these places.
Have you ever gone insane at Disney?
No, because
That would have been a good story.
Yeah, no, not really. Because, I mean, again, like,
You go for work.
I've been there, even though I wasn't there all the time, like, I was there probably more than most people. But, and I'm not really the person that's going to freak out.
No, you're very mellow between the two of us.
But
I'd be more likely to freak out at Disney.
Really?
I mean, between the two of us, don't you think?
Like, would you do, like, that scene from Elf where it's like, Santa! I know him! Would you do that to Mickey?
No.
I get pretty excited when I see Mickey.
I wouldn't get excited over Mickey, but I would strangle someone that wouldn't sit down. Good tip for the kids out there. If I'm
you
not
don't
a kid.
like what someone is doing, just strangle them.
In case you can't
Until
tell
you
from
get
this
your
podcast, I am not a kid's person.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think this ended up being very Disney heavy, which is okay because I do love Disney, and
who doesn't?
And that's okay. But we do have a solid story from Universal Orlando. And that said, well, okay, we're coming to the end of another episode of NightMerica. We're trucking now. We're just going full steam ahead.
Absolutely. If you guys have any stories you would like us...
When? Who sent us a story?
Yes.
Send us a story.
Send us a story.
How should they do that?
If you have a story to send us, please email us at nightmericashow@gmail.com. Or you can send us a DM. You can slide into our DMs at NightMerica Podcast on Instagram. Please, when you download us on Apple Podcasts, rate, review, subscribe. We are also on Spotify.
Thanks for listening. And wherever you download us, wherever you find us, we hope we find you again next week for the next episode of NightMerica.